Hey everybody, Blaise here and welcome to another episode of Aaron's Art Tips. Okay, so today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to guide the eye around a composition when you're creating a composition. There's there's a lot of different ways of actually using techniques in order to create a center of interest in your painting or whatever it is that you're doing. But one particular thing that I want to talk about today is using contrast. But there's different kinds of contrast. There's actual value contrast, value meaning how light or dark something is. The more contrast you have, the more it might draw your eye. But there's also levels of detail. You can contrast your levels of detail and create interest that way. And that's kind of what I've done with a couple of paintings that I just recently did that I wanted to show you. I wanted to let me pull over this first one. This one is a painting called When the King Speaks. And it's this obviously lion piece that I'm working. It's actually a comp for a big oil painting that I want to do. So what I tend to do is I'll sit down and work out these images digitally, so I can play around with composition and light and dark and not really make a mess and not worry about wasting paper or paint or canvas. And I can work out the whole composition. Then I can take that and print it out, and I use that as my reference for my big oil paintings. So that's what I'm doing here. I decided I wanted to do this big lion painting. So I sat down the other day to kind of work this out. And so one of the things I want to show you is if you look in this area here where we've got the body and the rear end of the lion, and then you look at this area here where we got this face and he's snarling. Well, obviously, I want the face, this area over here, to be the center of interest. I want that to draw your eye. Well, there's two things that I did. You're going to see, also I wanted to create this dramatic kind of dusty effect, like he just got done fighting or something like that, and he's maybe telling off another lion. Well, what I've done was I've taken this dust over here, and I've kind of created this layered effect with dust behind the lion, dust in front of the lion, and you'll also see that I limited the value range. I limited how dark I went. I didn't go completely black. And I limited how light I went. I didn't go completely white. So that there's not a lot of contrast in this area. There's not a huge ton of contrast. And you'll notice there's not a lot of detail. Okay? Now, as you come over to the area that I want people to first look at and kind of be moved by personality and that sort of thing, all of a sudden you're going to see, look at the contrast that I created. I actually purposely created this dark background behind the face of this lion so that he would pop, and there would be this instant contrast between this really bright highlight along the face and this background, so it would instantly draw your eye. Okay? And then also notice all the detail that I put into the face, all the fur and the modeling and all that sort of thing compared to what's going on over here, so that it's going to create this area of interest. It's a little area that you can explore. Okay, so that's how I created that for this image here, and that's what was kind of going through my mind. Now I've done another image, and you're going to notice that it's actually kind of the same composition, but completely different cat. But and kind of I've used the same methods, but in an opposite way. Let me show you. This is another big cat that I created recently. I'm going to blow this up. And notice it's pretty much the same kind of pose and that sort of thing, and same composition. And what I did was, obviously when looking at a leopard like this, these spots create all kinds of visual interest. So much so that it becomes kind of even. And so as I was creating this, I did not have this big shadow that's over the body of the leopard. That wasn't there. And as I was creating this, I was realizing that I really didn't know where to look. because all the body was there was all this equal contrast and interest and complexity and that sort of thing throughout the body of the cat. So one of the things I did, well, I did two different things. I pushed the modeling in the face. I wanted to really show off kind of the anatomy and the bone structure and the muscles and that sort of thing underneath the skin, and that created some interest right there. But I also look at this big bright highlight, so I created, because I knew I had a shadow. I had this nice dark shadow going along the profile of the cat, so I wanted to go something really bright behind it. I wanted a nice dark overlight and very strong contrast there. So that helped there. And then I went in and I created the shadow coming over the body of the cat so that it pulled all the values together, so that there's not a lot of contrasting patterning going on in here, so that your eye instantly goes right to where I wanted it to go, which is the face. So you get the personality, you get that sort of thing first, and then your eye can kind of explore the rest of the image. Okay? Let me just kind of pull that. There we go. So I want to show both of these again. So just to recap, use contrast and both in value and levels of detail to create interest, centers of interest in your compositions, but also do the opposite. Create areas that don't have a lot of contrast or a lot of detail in order to find quiet places to let your eye kind of rest a little bit. And then, when you have a balance of these two things happening in your composition, your image will feel balanced, and you can kind of explore it a little bit more comfortably. Okay, so that's a short Aaron's art tips for this week. Remember, I always work on my Cintiq HD, or my I always work on my Wacom Cintiq 24-inch HD. I absolutely love it. It's a big screen and I get to work on it. Go check out their website. It's wacom.com, WACOM.com, and check out my website. It's creatureartteacher.com. All right, that's creatureartteacher.com. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.